The bridge of the Indomitable was quiet. Too quiet. Admiral Park Do-hyun stood with his hands behind his back, looking at the large screen that covered the front wall. Stars filled the darkness of space, beautiful and cold. He had seen those stars for 30 years now, and they never stopped making him feel small. But today, something was different. Today, there was a message waiting. "Admiral," said Lieutenant Kang Jisoo from her station. She was young, maybe 25, with sharp eyes and a voice that never shook. "We are receiving a transmission from the Kelver hegemony. They say it is urgent." Park did not turn around. He already knew this was coming. The Kelver had been watching humanity for decades now. Ever since humans had pushed beyond their own solar system and started building colonies among the stars, the Kelver had been there, watching, waiting, judging. "Put it on screen," Park said. The stars disappeared. In their place came a face that was not human at all. It was tall and thin, covered in hard black shell like an insect. Two large eyes, completely red, stared out from the screen. Behind the creature, Park could see other aliens moving in shadows. The Kelver were not alone. They ruled over many species, all of them conquered long ago. "Humans," the creature said. Its voice was strange, like metal scraping against stone. "I am High Commander Veltek of the Kelver hegemony. I bring you a message from the Sovereign Council." Park said nothing. He simply waited. "Your expansion ends now," Veltek continued. "The Outer Rim territories you have claimed belong to us. They have always belonged to us. You will remove all human presence from these systems within 30 rotations. You will surrender your colonial ships. You will accept Kelver oversight of your remaining worlds." Still, Park did not speak. Behind him, he could feel his crew growing tense. Commander Yoon Hana, his tactical officer, had moved closer to his side. She was in her 40s, with gray starting to show in her black hair. She had fought in 3 wars and won all of them. Right now, her hand rested near her sidearm. "If you refuse," Veltek said, and something like pleasure entered his alien voice, "you will learn why no species has ever defied the hegemony. You will learn what true power looks like." The screen changed. Now it showed a solar system Park did not recognize. A small moon hung in the darkness, gray and lifeless. Then there was light. Brilliant, terrible light. The moon began to shake. Its surface cracked. And then, in a moment that lasted forever and no time at all, the moon collapsed in on itself. It folded and twisted and fell into nothing. Where the moon had been, there was now only a dark spot. A hole in space itself. "A matter compression bomb," Veltek's voice said over the image. "One weapon. One moon. Imagine what we could do to your Earth, to your colonies, to every world you have ever touched." The image faded. Veltek's face returned. "This is mercy, humans. This is your only warning. Comply or your worlds burn." The bridge was silent. Every officer stood frozen at their station. Park could feel their fear. It was thick in the air, heavy like smoke. They had just watched a moon die. They had just been told their entire species could follow. Park took a slow breath. Then he did something no one expected. He smiled. "Commander Veltek," Park said, his voice calm and steady. "Thank you for this demonstration. It was very impressive. I am sure your people are very proud of their weapon." The alien's red eyes narrowed. This was not the reaction he had expected. Humans were supposed to beg. They were supposed to cry and plead for mercy. That was what every other species had done. "You do not seem to understand your situation," Veltek said. "Oh, I understand perfectly," Park replied. "You have a very big bomb. You used it to destroy a moon that no one was living on. And now you think we will give you everything because we are afraid. You should be afraid, human. Park shook his head slowly. No, I do not think so. He turned to Lieutenant Jisoo. Cut the transmission. Her hands moved fast over her controls. The alien's face disappeared. The stars returned. Admiral? Commander Yoon said carefully. What are your orders? Park turned to face his crew. These were good people. Brave people. They had left their homes and families to serve among the stars. They deserved the truth. The Kelver think they know what fear is, Park said. They think a bomb makes them powerful. They think because they have conquered other species, they can conquer us. He paused. They are wrong. He walked to the center of the bridge, where everyone could see him clearly. Humans have been fighting since we first climbed down from trees. We fought each other for thousands of years. We built weapons that could destroy our own world. We survived plagues and famines and wars that killed millions. And every single time, we got back up. We kept going. We became stronger. His voice grew harder. The Kelver have never met anything like us. They do not know what they have started. But they are going to learn. He turned to Commander Yoon. Get me a secure channel to Earth Command. Priority Alpha. I want to speak to General Beak directly. Yes, Admiral. Yoon moved to her station. Park looked back at the stars on the screen. Somewhere out there, the Kelver were celebrating. They were sure humanity would surrender. They were already planning how to divide Earth's resources among themselves. They had no idea what was coming. Lieutenant Jisoo, Park said. Yes, Admiral? Prepare a response message to the Kelver hegemony. Keep it short. What should it say, sir? Park thought for a moment. Then he spoke, and his words were cold as the void between stars. Tell them this. We received your message. We have seen your weapon, and we want them to know something. Humans do not bow. Humans do not break. And if they come for our worlds, we will show them what real firepower looks like. We will show them why the darkness between stars learned to fear our name. Jisoo's fingers trembled slightly as she typed. But she did not stop. She sent the message. Across the bridge, officers began to move with new purpose. Fear was still there, but something else was growing too. Something stronger. Pride. Determination. The knowledge that they were human, and humans had faced worse than alien threats before. Admiral Park returned to his place at the front of the bridge. The war had not started yet, but it would, soon. And when it did, the Kelver would learn a lesson that would echo across the galaxy for 1,000 years. You do not threaten humanity. Not ever. The Seoul Planetary Defense Center sat deep underground, protected by 300 meters of rock and steel. It had been built 2 centuries ago, when humanity first realized they were not alone in the universe. Now, for the first time in its long history, the war room was fully active. General Beak Sunho stood at the head of a massive table. Holographic displays floated above it, showing maps of human space and beyond. Red markers indicated Kelver positions. Blue markers showed human fleets. There were far more red than blue. But General Beak did not look worried. He looked angry. Show me the message again, he said. An aide pressed a button. The Kelver transmission played once more. The collapsing moon. The aliens' threats. Admiral Park's cold response. When it finished, the room was silent. The Kelver have made a mistake, Beak said. His voice was rough from years of shouting orders on battlefields. 3 scars ran down the left side of his face, souvenirs from the colonial wars. They think we are like the other species they have conquered. They think one show of force will make us kneel. He looked around the room at the officers and scientists gathered there. They are about to learn how wrong they are. The door opened. Dr. Shin Yuna walked in, carrying a small data pad. She was a thin woman in her 60s, with white hair pulled back in a tight bun. Her eyes were the kind that saw everything and forgot nothing. For 30 years, she had led humanity's most secret weapons program. Today, she would finally reveal what they had built. "General," she said, nodding to Beak, "I received your message. You want to know about Project Hellfire. I want to know if it is ready." Dr. Shin smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. It has been ready for 15 years. We have simply been waiting for a reason to use it. She walked to the table and connected her data pad to the display system. The holographic maps disappeared. In their place came images that made several officers step back in shock. "The Kelver are proud of their matter compression bomb," Dr. Shin said. "One weapon, capable of collapsing a moon. Impressive, yes, but limited. It takes them 3 years to build each bomb. They have only 12 in their entire arsenal." She pressed a button. A new image appeared. "This is a Novolance. We have 400 of them. Each one can ignite the core of a gas giant, turning it into a temporary star. The resulting explosion can destroy everything within 2 light minutes." Another button. Another image. "Quantum disruptors. These weapons break apart the bonds that hold matter together. They do not explode. They do not burn. They simply make things stop existing. We have mounted them on 3,000 combat drones." The officers were staring now. Even General Beak, who had seen much in his long career, looked surprised. "How is this possible?" one officer asked. "The budget for weapons development has never been this large." Dr. Shin laughed softly. "The official budget? No. But humanity has been preparing for this moment since we first detected alien life. Every government on Earth contributed secretly. Every corporation with space interests paid their share. We knew this day would come. We knew someone would eventually try to threaten us." She pressed another button. This time, the image was black. Completely black. No stars, no light, just darkness. "And then there's this," she said quietly. "We call it the silence. What does it do?" Beak asked. Dr. Shin did not answer immediately. For the first time, she looked uncertain, perhaps even afraid. "It removes things from existence," she finally said. "Not destroys, removes, as if they never were. We tested it once on an asteroid in deep space. The asteroid did not explode or collapse. It simply was not there anymore. And all records of it, all memories of it, began to fade. We had to write everything down immediately, or we would have forgotten we ever ran the test." The room was completely silent. "We built it," Dr. Shin continued, "but we never intended to use it. It is too dangerous, too final. But if the Kelver push us far enough, if they truly try to destroy humanity, then we will have no choice." General Beak was quiet for a long moment. Then he turned to another officer. "Captain O Taiwu, step forward." A man emerged from the shadows at the edge of the room. He was not large, but there was something about him that made people want to look away. His eyes were calm and empty, like a shark's. This was the commander of the Reaper Division, humanity's most deadly special forces unit. "Your team is ready?" Beak asked. "Always, sir." "Good. I want you behind enemy lines within 2 weeks. Scout their positions, find their weaknesses, and make them afraid." Captain O nodded. "With pleasure, General." Beak turned back to the holographic display. With a wave of his hand, he brought up a map of Kelver space. It was vast, covering hundreds of star systems, thousands of planets, trillions of alien lives. "The Kelver believe they are safe," Beak said. "They believe their empire is too big to fall. They believe humans are just another small species to be crushed." He pointed at the map. "We are going to prove them wrong." He began giving orders. Fleets would be repositioned. Weapons would be armed. Supply lines would be secured. Every part of humanity's military machine began to move. Like a giant waking from sleep, as officers rushed to carry out their tasks. Dr. Shin approached General Beak quietly. "There's something else you should know," she said. "When we tested the silence, something strange happened. Just for a moment, we detected a signal. It came from somewhere far away, somewhere outside our galaxy. And it contained a single word, translated through mathematics." "What word?" Dr. Shin looked at him with those sharp, unblinking eyes. Finally, Beak frowned. "What does that mean?" "We do not know. Perhaps there are others out there who have been waiting for humanity to reveal its true strength. Perhaps we have allies we never knew about. Or perhaps something much older and stranger is watching us." She turned to leave, then paused. "Whatever happens next, General, remember this. The Kelver started this war because they thought they were the most powerful beings in the galaxy. They are about to discover that they were never even close." General Beak watched her go. Then he looked at the map again, at all those red markers representing Kelver forces. Soon, many of those markers would be gone. He pressed a button on the table. A communication channel opened. "This is General Beak Sanho, Supreme Commander of United Earth Forces. To all fleet commanders, all station chiefs, all planetary defense units. The Kelver hegemony has threatened our homes, our families, our very existence as a species. They expect us to surrender. They expect us to be afraid." He paused, letting his words sink in across countless ships and stations and worlds. "They are wrong. As of this moment, we are at war. And I want every officer, every soldier, every single human being to know this. We did not start this fight, but we will end it. We will end it so completely that no species in this galaxy will ever threaten humanity again." He ended the transmission. Across human space, people began to prepare. Ships powered up their weapons. Soldiers checked their gear. Scientists activated systems that had been sleeping for decades. The Kelver had wanted to see human firepower. They were about to get their wish. Outpost Theta 7 floated in the darkness between stars. It was one of the Kelver hegemony's most important forward bases, a massive station bristling with weapons and shields. 3,000 Kelver soldiers lived there, along with hundreds of ships. The hegemony believed it was impossible to attack. They were wrong. Sergeant Nam Jiwon pressed herself against the cold metal wall and held her breath. Somewhere ahead, heavy footsteps echoed in the corridor. Kelver guards making the rounds. They had no idea she was there. They had no idea any humans were there. That was about to change. Jiwon was 32 years old and had been a Reaper for 8 of those years. She had killed more enemies than she could count. She had survived missions that should have been impossible. And right now, she was exactly where she wanted to be, behind enemy lines, surrounded by creatures who wanted her dead. She held up 3 fingers to the soldiers behind her. Corporal Lee Minho nodded and reached for his bag of explosives. Private Cho Yoonji raised her sniper rifle, her young face calm and focused. The rest of the squad spread out silently, moving like ghosts. The footsteps grew closer. 2 Kelver guards turned the corner. They were tall, covered in that hard black shell, carrying weapons that glowed with strange energy. They saw nothing. They suspected nothing. Yoonji fired twice. The shots made no sound thanks to the silencer on her rifle. Both guards fell, dead before they hit the ground. "Move," Jiwon whispered. The squad flowed forward like water, stepping over the bodies without slowing. They had memorized every corridor, every room, every patrol pattern in this station. Intelligence had spent months gathering information. Now the Reapers would use it. Their target was the shield generator. Without shields, Outpost Theta 7 would be helpless against the human fleet waiting just outside sensor range. Admiral Park was counting on them. Humanity was counting on them. They reached a locked door. Minho moved forward, pulling tools from his belt. His fingers were quick and sure. Within seconds, the lock clicked open. "Too easy," he muttered. Ji-won almost smiled. Minho always said that. It was never actually too easy. Things always got complicated. They entered a large room filled with machinery. The shield generator hummed in the center, a tower of alien technology that reached up toward the ceiling. Blue light pulsed through cables and pipes. This single machine protected the entire station. "Set the charges," Ji-won ordered. Minho went to work. He moved around the generator, placing small packages of explosive at key points. He had done this many times before. His movements were fast and efficient. The rest of the squad took positions around the room, watching the doors. Yoonji found a spot with good sightlines and settled in, her rifle ready. The others checked their weapons and waited. Minutes passed. Minho finished his work and returned to Ji-won. "Charge is set. Timer is ready. We have 15 minutes to get clear." Ji-won nodded. "Everyone, we are leaving. Same way we came in. Stay quiet, stay together, stay alive." They moved back through the corridors. Everything was going according to plan. They were almost at the airlock where their stealth ship waited. Then the alarm started. Red lights flashed. A harsh sound filled the air. Kelver voices began shouting in their strange language. Doors slammed shut throughout the station. "They found the bodies," Yoonji said quietly. Ji-won did not slow down. "Keep moving. We expected this." They had, in fact, expected exactly this. The timing was tight, but that was how the Reapers worked. Always on the edge. Always pushing limits. They rounded a corner and found 20 Kelver soldiers waiting for them. The aliens opened fire immediately. Bright energy beams filled the corridor. The Reapers dove for cover, returning fire with their own weapons. Bullets designed to punch through Kelver armor found their targets. 3 aliens fell, then 4, then 5. But more kept coming. "Minho," Ji-won shouted. The door behind them. Minho threw something small and round. It stuck to the door at the far end of the corridor and beeped twice. Then it exploded. The door collapsed inward, crushing several Kelver and creating chaos among the rest. The Reapers pushed forward, firing as they moved. Private Yoonji's rifle spoke again and again, each shot dropping an enemy. The other soldiers fought with brutal efficiency. They did not waste bullets. They did not miss. Within 2 minutes, the corridor was clear. 20 Kelver bodies lay scattered across the floor. "Anyone hit?" Ji-won asked. "Just a scratch," one soldier said, holding his arm where an energy beam had grazed him. "Keep moving." They ran. Behind them, more alarms sounded. The entire station was waking up now. Thousands of Kelver soldiers were rushing to find the intruders. Ships were powering up in the docking bays. It did not matter. The Reapers had planned for all of this. They reached the airlock. Their stealth ship was still there, hidden against the station's hull. But standing between them and escape was a single figure. Kelver Commander the X-Roll. Ji-won recognized him from the intelligence briefings. He was one of the hegemony's most decorated officers. He had conquered 12 worlds for the Empire. He was 7 feet tall and covered in scars from countless battles. "Humans," he said, his voice full of disgust. "You think you can come here? To our station? You think you can escape?" Ji-won stepped forward. Her squad spread out behind her, weapons ready. "Yes," she said simply. "That is exactly what we think." Dexrel laughed. It was an ugly sound. "Your kind is weak," You are small. You are soft. You have no shells, no claws, no natural weapons. How did you ever survive on your own planet? By being better than everything that tried to kill us. The Kelver commander raised his weapon. You will die here, human. You will all die. And then we will come for your worlds. We will burn your cities. We will slaughter your people. We will make your species nothing but a memory. Ji-wan did not move, did not blink, did not look away. Commander, she said quietly, do you know how much time is left before your shield generator explodes? Dex-Rella's red eyes flickered. Just for a moment, uncertainty crossed his alien face. 4 minutes, Ji-wan continued. After that, this station has no protection. And outside, Admiral Park is waiting with 50 warships. Nova Lances. Quantum disruptors. Things your people have never seen. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small device. A detonator. But if you want, she said, I can end this faster. Dex-Roll roared and lunged forward. But Yunji was faster. Her rifle cracked once. The Kelver commander stumbled, a hole in his chest where his heart should be. He fell to his knees, then collapsed completely. Ji-wan looked down at the body. You wanted to show us what fear looks like, she said softly. Let me return the favor. The Reapers boarded their ship and detached from the station. They flew into the darkness, putting distance between themselves and Outpost Theta 7. Behind them, the shield generator exploded. The station shook. Its protective bubble flickered and died. And then Admiral Park's fleet arrived. The battle lasted 11 minutes. When it was over, Outpost Theta 7 was nothing but floating debris. Not a single Kelver ship escaped. Not a single distress signal reached friendly space. But one signal did reach the hegemony's home world. A simple transmission sent by Ji-wan herself. This is Sergeant Nam Ji-wan of the United Earth Reaper Division. One station down. Many more to go. Tell your leaders this. We are coming. And we will not stop until this war is over. She switched off the transmitter and looked out at the stars. The other Reapers were treating their wounds, checking their equipment, preparing for the next mission. They did not celebrate. They did not rest. There was too much work to do. The Kelver had started this war, but humanity would finish it, one outpost at a time. High Sovereign Kethra sat on his throne and watched his empire burn. The screens around him showed disaster after disaster. Outposts destroyed, fleets scattered, worlds lost. In 6 months, the humans had done what no species had ever managed in 10,000 years. They had brought the Kelver hegemony to its knees. The throne room was silent. Advisors and generals stood along the walls, none daring to speak. They had brought bad news too many times. They had watched their sovereign's rage grow with each defeat. 3 advisors had already been executed for failure. How? Kethra finally said. His voice was quiet, but it filled the massive room. How did this happen? No one answered. No one knew what to say. We are the hegemony, Kethra continued. We have conquered 600 species. We have ruled this quadrant since before these humans had learned to make fire. We have weapons that can destroy moons. His clawed hands gripped the arms of his throne. And we are losing to creatures who cannot even grow proper shells. A general stepped forward. His name was Vexter, and he was one of the few officers who had survived the war so far. Sovereign, the humans fight differently than any species we have encountered. They do not follow patterns. They do not obey the rules of war. They attack where we are weakest and retreat before we can respond. They use weapons we have never seen. They adapt faster than we can adjust. Then adapt faster, Kethra roared. Build more ships. Train more soldiers. I want every human world reduced to ash. Vexter lowered his head. Sovereign, we have tried. But the humans have friends now. The word hung in the air like poison. Friends? Cathra's voice was dangerous. The species we conquered. The ones whose worlds we took. The humans have been liberating them. Vexter could barely get the words out. They do not keep the worlds for themselves. They give them back. They offer protection and ask for nothing in return. And now those species are fighting alongside them, providing information, opening pathways through our space, sabotaging our supply lines. Cathra stared at his general. They give worlds away? For nothing? It seems so, Sovereign. For a long moment, Cathra was silent. This made no sense to him. In 10,000 years of conquest, no species had ever behaved this way. You conquered. You took. You ruled. That was how the galaxy worked. But humans did not follow those rules. Humans did not make sense till an alarm suddenly filled the throne room. Red lights flashed. Officers rushed to check their displays. Sovereign, one of them said, his voice shaking. Human ships. They are here, in our home system. Cathra rose from his throne. Impossible. Our defenses are gone, Sovereign. They destroyed the outer stations an hour ago. We did not even detect them until they were through. The screens changed. Now they showed the space above Cathra's throne world. Thousands of human ships hung there, arranged in perfect formation. At their center was a vessel larger than any other. The Indomitable, Admiral Park's flagship. But there was something else. Something that made even Cathra feel cold. Behind the human fleet, floating in the darkness, were objects that should not exist. They were black, completely black. They seemed to eat the light around them. What are those? Cathra whispered. No one knew. A communication signal came through. Before any officer could respond, the main screen flickered and changed. A human face appeared, an old man with kind eyes and a simple suit. He did not look like a warrior. He did not look dangerous. But something about him made every Calver in the room want to step back. I am Ambassador An Jong-woo, the man said. His voice was soft and calm. I represent the United Earth government. I am here to discuss terms. Cathra straightened to his full height. Terms? You dare speak of terms? You are the invaders here. You have attacked our empire. You have destroyed our stations and ships. An nodded slowly. Yes, we have. And we will continue to do so until this war ends. But I am here because we prefer peace. Because humans do not enjoy killing. We do it when we must, but we take no pleasure in it. Then leave. Return to your worlds and never come back. I cannot do that. An's voice remained gentle. You threatened our home. You showed us your weapon and told us to bow. We will not bow. We will never bow. But we can end this now, without more death, if you accept our terms. Cathra laughed bitterly. Your terms? What could you possibly want from us? 3 things, An said. First, the hegemony will disarm. You will destroy your weapons of mass destruction and reduce your military to defensive forces only. Second, you will release all conquered species. Their worlds will be returned to them. Their people will be free. Third, you will pay reparations to those species for the suffering you have caused. The throne room erupted in angry shouts. Calver officers demanded that the human be killed. They called for war to the death, for honor, for revenge. But Cathra raised one clawed hand and silence fell. And if we refuse? He asked. An did not answer immediately. Instead, he simply gestured toward the viewport behind him. Outside, the black objects began to move. They drifted forward, past the human fleet, toward the Calver home world. As they moved, something strange happened. Stars behind them started to disappear. Not fade, not dim, simply cease to exist. Those are weapons, An said quietly. We call them the Silence. We have never used them in war. We hope we would never have to. But if you refuse our terms, if you continue this fight, we will erase your home world from existence. Not destroy. Erase. No one will even remember it was here. Kethra felt something he had not felt in centuries. Fear. Real fear. You would not, he said. You spoke of peace. Of mercy. I spoke of preference. An corrected. We prefer peace. But we will do whatever is necessary to protect our people. You must understand this, High Sovereign. Humanity did not become the dominant species on our world by being kind. We became dominant by being willing to do terrible things when we had no other choice. He stepped closer to the screen. You started this war because you thought you were stronger than us. You thought one bomb would make us kneel. But you were wrong. You were so very wrong. And now you have a choice. Accept our terms and survive. Or refuse and become nothing but a forgotten dream. The throne room was completely silent. Every Kelver stood frozen, watching their sovereign, waiting for his response. Kethra looked at the screens, at the human fleet, at the black weapons that ate starlight, at his ruined empire dot, and he realized something that changed everything. The humans were not the monsters he had thought they were. They were not mindless killers or savage beasts. They were something far more dangerous. They were a species that would burn the galaxy to ash if necessary, and then feel sad about it afterward. Your terms, Kethra said slowly. If we accept them, what guarantee do we have that you will keep your word? An smiled gently. You have my word as a human, and you have the knowledge that we could destroy you right now, but we are choosing not to. That is who we are, High Sovereign. We offer mercy to those who accept it. We show no mercy to those who refuse. The silence stretched for a long moment. Then High Sovereign, Kethra did something no Kelver ruler had done in 10,000 years. He bowed his head. We accept, he whispered. Your terms are accepted. Ambassador An nodded once. Then the war is over. Outside the viewport, the black weapons stopped moving. The human fleet held its position. And for the first time in 6 months, no one was dying. But across the galaxy, everyone was remembering. Remembering what happened when someone threatened humanity's home. Remembering why you never made that mistake. 1 year had passed since the war ended. Admiral Park Do-hyun walked slowly through Seoul Memorial Plaza. The morning sun was warm on his face, and cherry blossom petals drifted through the air like pink snow. It was beautiful here, peaceful, a good place for remembering. The memorial wall stretched before him, a long curve of black stone covered with names. Thousands of names. Every human who had died in the war against the Kelver hegemony was listed here. Park came every week to pay his respects. It was the least he could do. He had retired 6 months ago. The war was over. The fleet did not need him anymore. Younger officers had taken his place, ready to protect humanity against whatever came next. Park had been glad to give up command. He was tired. Tired of fighting. Tired of sending good people to die. But he could not stop coming here. He walked along the wall, reading names he knew. Captain Oh Taiwu. The Reaper commander had died in the assault on the Kelver home system, leading his team one last time. He had saved hundreds of lives with his sacrifice. Corporal Lee Min-ho, the demolitions expert, had stayed behind on an enemy station to make sure his charges exploded, even though he knew he could not escape. His bomb had destroyed a ship carrying weapons that would have killed millions. And there, near the center of the wall, was the name Park had come to see. Commander Yoon Hana. Park stopped in front of her name and stood in silence. Hana had been his tactical officer for 15 years. She had been the best officer he had ever served with. In the war's final days, she had commanded a small fleet protecting refugee ships from liberated worlds. Kelver loyalists had attacked, trying to destroy as many freed species as possible before the surrender. Hannah had held them off. She had fought for 6 hours against superior numbers. She had saved every single refugee ship, but her own ship had been destroyed in the final moments of the battle. She had died knowing that the people she protected would live. Park reached out and touched her name on the cold stone. "I am sorry," he said quietly. "I should have been there. She would not want you to blame yourself." Park turned. A young woman stood behind him, wearing the uniform of a military cadet. She had Hannah's eyes, Hannah's determination. Her name tag read, Cadet Sora. "You are her daughter," Park said. Sora nodded. "She talked about you often. She said you were the best admiral in the fleet. She said serving under you was the greatest honor of her career." Park managed a small smile. "She was too kind. I was lucky to have her." They stood together in front of the wall. Other visitors moved through the plaza, paying their respects to their own lost loved ones. The cherry blossoms continued to fall. "I am entering the academy next month," Sora said. "I want to join the fleet. I want to serve like she did." Park looked at her carefully. She was young, maybe 19. The same age Hannah had been when they first met. "Are you sure? After everything that happened?" "Because of everything that happened." Sora's voice was firm. "Someone has to stand guard. Someone has to be ready for the next threat. My mother understood that. She died protecting people who could not protect themselves. I want to do the same." Park nodded slowly. He understood. Some things were worth fighting for. Some things were worth dying for. Hannah had known that better than anyone. "She would be proud of you," he said. They walked together through the plaza, past the memorial, toward a small garden at the edge of the grounds. Here, flowers grew in every color. Each one had been planted by families of the fallen. A living reminder that life continued, even after death. "Can I ask you something?" Sora said as they walked. "Of course. Was it worth it? The war, all the deaths, all the destruction." She looked at him with those familiar eyes. "Did we do the right thing?" Park thought about the question for a long time. He thought about the Kelver and their threats. He thought about the species humanity had freed from conquest. He thought about the weapons they had built and the ones they had almost used. He thought about every soldier who had died under his command. "I do not know if it was worth it," he finally said. "I do not know if anything in war is ever truly worth the cost. But I know this. We did what we had to do. The Kelver gave us no choice. They threatened our home, our families, our entire species. We could not let that stand." He stopped and turned to face her. "They thought a bomb would frighten us. They thought we would see their power and bow. They did not understand what they were dealing with." He paused. "Humans do not fight because we love war. We fight because there are things worth protecting. And we will burn the galaxy to ash before we let anyone take those things from us." Sora was quiet for a moment. Then she asked, "What happens now? What happens when the next threat comes?" "Because there is always a next threat." Park smiled. It was the first real smile he had worn in a long time. "Then we do what we have always done. We stand up. We fight back. And we remind the universe why you never ever threaten humanity's home." They reached the edge of the garden. Below them, souls stretched out in the sunlight. Millions of people going about their lives. Children playing in parks. Families sharing meals. Lovers walking hand in hand. None of them thinking about war or death or alien empires. That was why people like Hannah had fought. That was why people like Sora would continue to fight. So that ordinary people could live ordinary lives without fear. "I should go," Sora said. "I have training exercises this afternoon." "Good luck, Cadet. Work hard. Make your mother proud. Sora saluted. Park returned it. Then she turned and walked away, her steps strong and sure. Park watched her go. Then he looked up at the sky. It was blue and clear, but he knew what waited beyond it. Stars without number, worlds without end. And somewhere out there, other species who had heard what happened to the Kelver. Other empires that were learning a new lesson. Do not wake the humans. Do not threaten their worlds. Do not mistake their kindness for weakness. For when humanity goes to war, even the stars themselves learn to fear. Park stayed in the garden for another hour, watching the city below. Then he walked home, leaving the memorial and its names behind. But he knew he would return. He would always return. Because remembering was important. Remembering the cost of war. Remembering the price of peace. Remembering the people who had died so others could live. That night, as Park sat alone in his apartment, a news report played on his screen. The freed species were thriving. New governments were forming. Trade routes were opening. For the first time in millennia, the galaxy was at peace. And at the end of the report, a Kelver historian was interviewed. She was young, part of a new generation that had grown up after the war. She spoke about what her people had learned. "We thought we knew power," she said. "We thought our empire was unstoppable. But then we met humanity. And we discovered something that changed everything. Power is not about weapons or armies or conquered worlds. Power is about what you are willing to sacrifice to protect what you love." She paused, her red eyes distant. "The humans taught us that lesson. They taught the entire galaxy. And we will never forget." Park turned off the screen and sat in darkness. Outside his window, Earth turned beneath the stars. Safe, protected, free. Because some humans had been willing to fight for it. Because some humans have been willing to die for it. Because humanity had shown the universe what real firepower looked like. And the universe had learned to be very, very careful.